I'm Nicole Jones, and you are listening to Mediocre to Masterful. This podcast helps you master your goals, activate your plans, and manifest your purpose. So I changed the scenery a bit, and I'm recording from Monday Co. This is in the Atlanta area and in the Sweet Auburn district. And I have with me the founder of the space, Candice Van Wyk. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. I think this is going to be a really good discussion because it's all about having a creative space to, get your creative juices flowing, be able to unleash your innovation, and being in a space where you can cultivate your dreams, your goals. You can do that with yourself or the people that are in the creative space and collaborate to bounce ideas off with.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the dream. Collaboration. Because so many great ideas come when we just do stuff together.
Yes. And I love that part of being able to collaborate and just new ways of thinking with other people.
Yeah, and I think more people need to stop being afraid of collaboration. Like, people are afraid of somebody stealing their ideas. Or, for instance, like having a co-founder, right? A lot of people don't want to give up anything to be in a collaborative work environment or whatever. And I've never understood that. And I'm like, if you look at rich people, if we're talking about a capitalist society, they always have business partners.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Almost. They don't spend all their money and all their time developing the things that make them rich or whatever. Or the very successful people. You think Beyonce plans her whole entire tour just by herself? Like, she needs
smart people with her.
Period. So, like, we need to do that. Stop keeping stuff close to your chest.
Yes. And I totally agree with that. And I think that's one of the things you just said was people are fearful that people will take their ideas. So they don't necessarily share that information. And that's really what's holding them back because they can't move forward because they don't know what they need to do.
Exactly.
Because you need to collaborate with other people.
Exactly. And nobody can do whatever you want to do exactly like you. Like, so many people have spaces like mine, right? I didn't steal the idea of having a co-working space from someone. I'm doing it my way.
Yeah.
And I think people need to realize that. And also, most people are too lazy to even execute your idea. So even if they want to steal it, they're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah. Because you have a certain vision that you want to do when it comes to achieving that goal. So even if you did share it, they don't know your full agenda, your full plan.
Period.
So
I think collaboration is the key to a successful life. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, you are not someone who is shy of creating and curating creative spaces. Candice is also the founder of Brown Girl Bloggers.
Yep.
Which is an awesome platform for women of color to be able, again, to collaborate and share their stories and share stories of other women and other people.
But also, the biggest part of what we do is we're an influencer agency. So I connect brands with women of color. And I actually, in the background, quite a bit, I advocate for brands to have diverse marketing campaigns because they want our money, but they don't want to pay us. And if you look at what white bloggers and influencers are getting paid, and even Asian girls to a degree, and what brown girls and black girls are being paid, it's nowhere near the same. Or so many times a company will be emailing back and forth, and they'll be like, oh, well, we don't have a budget, to pay the influencers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but you do. Yeah. And I know because I am for black women and brown women, I still talk to white people. Like, I know.
Yeah, right.
So
we do talk.
Yes, we do talk. I do have white friends.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. I think that's critical.
Yeah, I want us to get paid. And that was the biggest part about Monday & Co. too. Like, I want to talk to us, like our community, about contracts, right? Every time you do business, even if you're collaborating with somebody, you should have a contract. Like, when I decided to bring a co-founder on, before we even did the fun stuff, we sat down for weeks, like hammering out a founder's agreement, hammering out, well, how much of the company does she get versus me, and blah, blah, blah. We should be doing that. You should know what your books look like. Even if you should know when to get somebody to manage it. Yeah. What is QuickBooks? So the things that I want to do in the space too is like having QuickBooks training and stuff like that. And we're going to do all that. I'm going to have a lawyer come in here and talk to us about how to draft contracts when you can't afford a lawyer. And because there's certain elements that every contract should have, and it won't be as ironclad the first couple of times when you don't have a lawyer, but you learn in business and then you can add to your contract on your own or whatever the case may be. So it's about protecting ourselves and making money. because we start businesses at such an alarming rate, but we also fail at an alarming rate.
Yeah. I think what's really critical about what you just said is a number of things. That one, we are underpaid, and that's across the board in blogging and careers as entrepreneurs and just different areas. It is known that women and Black women are the least or most underpaid group across the board, and that's something that this space, Brown Girl Bloggers, is just a great space for women to be able to get knowledge, seek that knowledge and
period. Ask me, I'll tell. Like I was telling you earlier, I'll tell you. Just ask. Yeah.
And I think what's even more important is that you are so open to have these spaces, because again, back to our earlier point, we cannot hold information from each other. If we are trying to excel and reach that next level, you have now created these spaces for women to have those comfortable conversations and not feel outed, not feel targeted, and share information.
Or like I had a girl come in here, and even though she works from here, she knows that eventually she needs her own office space. So I told her how much I paid per square foot here. I told her like how I got the lease. Why not? Yeah. Even if she was doing all that so she can go open a competing co-working space, like it's fine. Whatever. Have fun. You know what I mean? Right. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point in holding it so close to chest.
Yeah. I think what's also very important about these spaces that you have created is it gives people an environment to do so, because they might be in an environment where they don't feel like that's welcome, or they can have those conversations, or they just don't get it, or they're doing.
I think in general, having spaces where we can feel comfortable, like you said about those conversations, but even stuff like I had a girl come in here and she was just so happy that she could warm up her food in the office and not have people be like, what is that? Because she was Nigerian. And so we have the diaspora in here, for instance, and like you open up the fridge on any given day, like during the week, and you don't know what you're going to see.
Right.
Or, we have people like even her just being like, nobody in here is weirded out by the food. Like we're all like, something smell good in the kitchen.
Right.
So even little stuff, or the music we listen to, or whatever it is, I feel like everybody deserves a space where they can feel comfortable. But like you said, even more so with having conversations surrounding business and money, for sure.
One of the reasons I really enjoy this space, and I've come here quite some time, I just found out about it last month, and I've been here multiple times already.
And I feel like we always miss each other.
Yes, it's like a great cozy little space, and it's really just like a hidden gem over here in this area. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so convenient just for the schools that are around here, and the walking distance with the coffee shop up the street is just like a really good place to just vibe and create and innovate. And it really gives me a chance to spark my creativity when I come here and take a moment and think to myself, because it also ignites different ideas than I would normally have if I'm in my home office. I love my home office. It's a great space, but sometimes I just need to get out of that space, regenerate my thought patterns, and come to a different area. What are some other benefits that people who have come to this space have experienced when they're in Monday & Co?
So yes, definitely what you just said, but also the fact that a lot of us are struggling. So a lot of people, like even just this morning, I had a girl come in and she's like, well, I've done natural hair blogging for so long, but I want to transition into lifestyle, but I don't even know where to start. If you come in here and there's 8 girls in here or 8 women in here, you have 8 different ideas, right? And you can pick and choose. By the end of the time of us talking to you, you have formulated a plan.
And new followers.
And new followers, because we're always following each other. We're always bigging each other up. Everybody who comes in here, I'm in your Instagram comments. Like, period. But and also like you said, the idea generator, but also learning different ways to do things. Like I had a girl who was still budgeting and stuff on a spreadsheet. And I mean, spreadsheets are fine, but I was like, sis, QuickBooks. And she was like, oh, QuickBooks is so overwhelming. And I'm like, all right, let's sit down and if you don't mind me being in your business just slightly, let's sit down, make a QuickBooks account. I'm going to show you at least the main big areas you need to do. And that's what made me realize, like, oh, a lot of other people might need this. We should do a QuickBooks workshop or whatever. Right. And so just getting ideas when you're stuck. Like I have somebody planning a party here and she had an idea, and then everybody here was like, no sis, that would be so annoying. So we just saved her so much money. And time and everything. It's stuff like that, I think.
Yeah. And that's something you can't get behind a screen at home.
You just can't. And that human connection, because yes, we all have friends online, but sometimes you need those people in real life. Yeah.
I think the work that you're doing is really important because a lot of people just don't know what they need in order to start a business and start a company. Like the information you share with the young lady about, girl, sis, you need to get QuickBooks because you no longer need to be an Excel spreadsheet. Like that's really important and really critical. And again, having those in-person interactions. I mean, yeah, she could have researched that and she probably still would have taken her time in order to scale that for her business. But it's important to have those type of conversations and resources at a space that you're going to be at anyway to create your goals.
We don't know what we don't know. And guess what? Black people know less in a lot of instances, right? And that's not because we're not as smart, but we're not brought up to know how to thrive or whatever in a capitalist society, I suppose. Like I'm a first generation college student.
Yes.
And my mom told me, actually, she was like, I had a job so you could have a career. Like, I don't know. She didn't know anything about helping me apply to college. I had not heard of FAFSA before I went to, I didn't know what that was. So I didn't have a blueprint for this. So you know how many mistakes I've made? Even opening the space, I made so many mistakes because I just didn't know what I don't know. So if more of us, when we get to a place where we know things, if we share it, we're going to even out the playing field slightly. It'll be years before maybe even centuries. I don't know how long.
I hope not. I do feel like we're getting closer though, because the energy, I definitely feel like is shifting.
I think so. And people, I find it very interesting because people always say like, you'll hear stereotypes like black people are crabs in a bucket or whatever. But I have found that the reason I have a career and the people who have helped me are black. Like, honestly, truly. And of course, I've had white people help me along the way because honestly, they hold the power when it comes to business and stuff. So a lot of times we need, I guess, them to a degree, which makes me cringe just to think about. But I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for black women. So.
Yeah. And that's why I think this space is really encouraging and uplifting for our community to have this space to continue to do that and continue to uplift one another. Like what you hear? Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at mediocre-to-masterful.com for more tips and resources to help you reach your goals. And you can also follow us on Instagram at mediocre-to-masterful. So tell me about the importance of being able to have support when it comes to innovation and collaboration and having that support system along the way.
It was about a year ago. I remember because I came back home for a little bit and I flew into Atlanta, and I usually fly here and then drive to my parents' house. And I was like, dang, I'm gonna have to move to Atlanta. So I just went home and told Kyle, I was like, yeah, you need to find a job in Atlanta because that's where we have to go. And he was just like, oh, all right then. Like,
really?
He was just like, okay.
I love that. Speaking of support, even though he's not like an entrepreneur mind, he believes and he knows your vision.
So much. Like, I was just sitting here when we got this space because it seemed perfect, but we had a lot of work to do. And he was just like, okay, well, I can build the tables. I showed him a picture of tables that looked like this, but it was like $2,000 or something, West Elm or something. He was like, I can make that. And I was like, no, I'm thinking like, Kyle, I know you can make stuff.
Yeah.
But I had not really seen him build something this big yet because he had always been working too much to do.
So you're like, what is really your bandwidth? Like, what's your real talent?
I honestly feel like he can do anything. Like, I feel like he can build.
After everything?
He built this out. He did you should have saw the colors that were like, I was just like, what are we going to do with these bars? And he was just like, no, we can make this a room. We can like, and I'm just like, thank goodness. And it's not perfect. Because I know the mistakes and all that kind of stuff. And that almost stopped me. But he was the person who was like, Candice, like, nobody will ever see that. It just,
you know what's really interesting about that is you had a vision. You came into this room and you had a vision about Atlanta, but then you came to this space and you were like, okay, this is a good space. And he basically was that missing puzzle piece to help build that, because he also saw the space with you, but he saw it in a different frame. Where he's like, oh, I can build this out.
Okay, I am more of a person who, I'm a big picture person. I didn't walk into this room and know exactly how it can look. I just knew the energy was right. He walks into a room, or like the patio, for instance, that he's building out, and he can see it as if it's already fully built. Like, I knew I wanted to paint the walls white, but he was like, But he wouldn't have known about the pictures and stuff, but he knew tables, how to map out where the tables are going to go, and he did all the measurements. I could probably, but it's not a skill set of mine. And I just think we have opposite skill sets, so it worked out. But I have a problem, I think, with accepting help, because so many of my friends were like, hey, if you need us to come paint, but I was like, man, I don't have money to pay y'all, I don't want to. So we built the whole space out ourselves instead of accepting help from people. I'm so annoying.
Gosh. And that's one thing that's really important, though. Like, I know we talked about earlier that, you know, you have to open up your ideas, you have to share with other people, be more collaborative in order for your goals to grow. But you also have to be okay with accepting help.
And you have to stop. Here's the thing, too. Sometimes people just want to help you. Like, I have a thing where I feel like everything should be mutually beneficial at that moment. So you know what I mean? If I'm going to give you a free membership here, then I feel like you should never ask me for that. Why? Why should I do that? Well, some people, of course, I just do stuff for. But that's the thing, right? There's been people who come in here, they don't have money to pay. They literally can't. But I'm like, all right, girl, come on in, right? But when somebody wants to do that for me, I'm like, I don't want to accept it. If I can't pay you, then what am I giving you? Can I build you a website? And some people, like I have one friend who's just like, Candice, we're friends. You're not going to reciprocate everything with me. Like, it's not going to happen. Sometimes I'm just going to do stuff for you in a moment that's wildly crazy. Just accept it. Kyle's the only person, I guess because he's my spouse, that I feel... Because a marriage will never actually be completely 100% equal. And so that's the same with friendships, right? So I need to accept that because I don't want to take advantage of people. I want, especially Black women, to get paid for their work.
Yes. So you have two really awesome platforms that are impacting the Black Girl Magic community. In more ways than, you know, I could even count. Like, I'm sure there's so many people that have reached out to you about, girl, you impacted me in this way, and I needed this space because of this. But is there more on the horizon for you and your ventures?
So much more. With Monday & Co., we're just in a growth phase right now. We just opened. So for me, it's just getting people in here and doing a lot of events, which will be dictated by the people who are in here. Brown Girl Bloggers, on the other hand, has so much going on. We're building a tech platform. So we're building a platform to make managing influencer campaigns easier, and we're doing AI in there, and we have a lot of cool stuff. So it's really cool. I can't talk too much about it because we're building it out. We are also just working with bigger brands, and you know, just applying to all kinds of accelerators and grants and everything. But just bringing on a co-founder means our bandwidth is so much bigger, so much wider to bring more campaigns to our community. So it's super exciting. We have so many. We're also starting a podcast called Notes from the Office, where we are going to interview influencers and brands about the industry as a whole, about how they got to where they are. Brands are going to give their advice, especially to people who, it'll be entrepreneurial to a degree, but it's more for everybody. So everybody in business, everybody who wants to market online. And we want it to be super helpful. So we're bringing in, oh my God, so many amazing people. I'm so excited about that podcast.
You should be.
So we're launching that. And then, just tons of events.
That's awesome.
We're trying to do activations all over the country.
That's
in
awesome.
the next 12 months.
Oh my God, that is amazing. And that podcast sounds like it's really going to impact a lot. That's really an extension of what you're trying to do in this space.
Exactly. And I wanted it to be intentional. I didn't want to just put more noise out because I was doing a podcast for a while and it was just me talking and people asking me questions, but I felt like, man, this has been done already. Not by me, but it didn't feel right to me. And then I realized, number one, if I'm going to do a podcast about business, I wanted it to be much more intentional and much more structured.
Okay.
But number two, I don't want to talk about business all day. Like, I do it. I do it 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to just hang out.
Right.
So I didn't want to do a podcast unless it was meaningful. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think and it's really being intentional will go a long way because it's really also you are trying to fit the needs of the audience that you know is going to be tuned in.
Exactly.
Like I want to give them something that they need and that they can thrive off of.
Exactly.
Even if they're not in Atlanta and they can't come to Monday & Co. Or maybe they're just not a blogger, but they still need that same insight from what you offer from Brown Girl Bloggers. So the podcast is definitely going to increase the listenership and followership of your platforms.
Yeah. It's weird to think about it too. Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is amazing. It's really impactful. I love this space. I love coming here. It's just so cozy.
Thank you. And that was the goal. I wanted to make it cozy.
Yes.
Like we have these huge beanbag chairs that we bring out sometimes where you can just lounge around. I'm like, listen.
I have not parked there yet, but maybe I'll try it out today.
Yeah. All right.
But how can people stay connected with you?
So personally, all my social media is my name, Candice, Candice, V as in Victor, ANWYE. Brown Girl Bloggers is at Brown Girl Blogs everywhere. And then we're Brown Girl Bloggers on Facebook. And then Monday & Co. is Monday Co. Digital everywhere. And you can see the website at mondayand.co.
Awesome. Well, Candice, thank you so much for your time. This has been amazing.
It was a good conversation.
This is great. And I know this is going to encourage many other people to start getting their creative juices flowing.
Get it going, guys. We have to just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Whatever you think is holding you back, screw that. Just do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Candice.
Thank you.